Hi, welcome. This is a reading on what is today, Friday, November 21st. And I have a brand new deck of tarot cards that I've just shuffled the heck out of. For the first time, I haven't pulled any cards. I don't even really know the artwork yet. I haven't explored them at all. And it's called Infinite Door. I had to look at the box. So, and these are kind of thin, just paper, nothing fancy, but the artwork is really beautiful that I saw in the box, and I saw some sample photos, and I love just looking at the artwork here. It's like soft but vibrant, and the artwork really has to speak to me, and I got it. I also picked up, but I left it home, the Kim Kranz like Animal Spirit deck. Not Spirit Animal, I think it's called Animal Spirit. And Kim Kranz is like, she makes my favorite stuff. She makes all the Wild Unknown tarot, Wild Unknown archetypes, which I have. And so I kept the Animal Spirit one at home to go with for other decks for when I do readings at home. And what else did I get? I got a book called Poetry Tarot Poetry, and it's this man, he's passed now, and he wrote it in Spanish, and it was poetry. Like, he has a book that he takes every card in the tarot and writes a poem that describes the essence of the card, but in poetry format. And I was like, yes, you're combining like two of my major things in life right now. Well, poetry's always been, but tarot the last couple of years. And I was like, so I can't wait to devour that. Actually, slowly. Devour it slowly. So, what's here with us today? Let's find out. Let's see what these new cards have for us. The backs are like interesting. I haven't even really looked at them, but they look like rivers. You know how you look from above, like a topographical view or whatever, and you see river formation, like the cavernous kind of, well, this. But inside of these river squiggles are stars, I think. Yeah. So that's kind of cool that you think it looks like, see, to me, because of the brown earth and the river-like formations, looks like you're looking down at the earth, but then you see the stars. So I love that. The inner, the outer, the mystery, how there's the same truth in all things, if you, depending on what layer or dimension you're looking at. So, and that's what tarot is. It's very like, the macro is the micro, and all of that good stuff. So let's find out what's here with us today. Thanks again for being here. We have, man, I think I'm gonna need the guidebook, guys. We have a card. They are not named. Well, this one's easy, the Two of Swords. But this one I think is, hold on, I gotta get the book. Okay, I'm back. I'm a silly goose. I can now see the pentacles, like the symbol for pentacles at the bottom, but I was thinking it was the major arcana, number 9, which I don't memorize all the numbers. So anyway, now I understand this, how this deck is using these symbols. Okay, so what we have is the 9 of Pentacles challenged by the 2 of Swords. So to me, immediately this, like the similarities with these cards is one of like feeling contained, but what kind? So the kind that the 9 of Pentacles is pointing to is like, I feel surrounded and like comforted by my surroundings. Like, I feel like I'm in my comfort zone. I feel like I'm pretty grateful for what I have around me. I'm pretty comfortable and content. So that's what I think of with the 9 of Pentacles. You feel pretty grounded, but you're also not seeking too much. You've come so far maybe, and you feel like, oh, okay, yeah, this feels good. I'll rest here a while. And so that's not a bad thing. It can be very comfortable. There's a lot to learn from that, though, isn't there? So then we have the Two of Swords in the challenge area. So this one feels like kind of feeling contained in a different way, like maybe bound or constricted by indecision. Not really sure where to turn. There's some seeking energy here, but feeling like things aren't clear enough yet, like to even know what I'm seeking. So that's what's coming to me, is like this feeling of, and I was thinking like right before I started the reading, like what energy might be here with us today that might color the reading. And it's one of like going into winter, at least if you're in an area maybe where you sense the change in seasons, where it's like we're going into the quietude, but things aren't quiet yet. And I think about that with the inner realm of seeking energy, contentedness versus discontent, the winter of our discontent. Did you ever see Reality Bites yet? I think I gave you that as homework one time. Go watch that movie from 1994, and it's just genius. But anyway, the winter of our discontent. And maybe that's what I'll title this reading. I don't know. But anyway, I'll probably get too many people like looking for classic literature. And be very disappointed. So what I'm wondering is if the rest of this reading will be about something to do with, there's this leftover energy of, you know how summer is so vibrant and joyful, do, go, 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 and you're just enjoying nature, enjoying being with people, and you know, that's just a broad statement. Maybe your life doesn't feel like that, but in general, that's what this summer feels like. And then we go into autumn, and there's this like coziness coming in, and people are bundling up, and they're visiting the apple orchards. I live in the Midwest. So you may not have those traditions where you live, but where we have a change in seasons like this, where you literally see it changing before your eyes. The trees are turning colors, the leaves are falling. Things are going into hibernation mode right now. And so that feels like, is there a little leftover of summer energy that just needs to play itself out, like a restlessness? Like, oh, I'm not quite ready to go into quietude, right? I'm not quite ready to hibernate. Yet there is this readiness for going inside to see like that seeking energy. Instead of that, I'm not ready yet, that's the outward seeking. But something else is here saying, maybe with the Two of Swords also has this element of going into your intuition to gain clarity for whatever you're trying to gain clarity on. It might just be like, okay, well, with the seasons, we're meant to become quiet. We've stored up our food. We're meant to conserve resources. We're meant, to, be kind of go with that flow of nature. So that restlessness might be coming in to like, just because it's like, we're humans in the 21st century, right? 21st? Yeah, 21st century, where it's like, we don't necessarily have to flow with nature, right? Anymore. We're always battling. We're always going against nature, meaning, oh, well, I can still go out, drive a car in the snow, go get groceries. I don't have to can all my food for what I need for the winter. So like big picture humanity, like I feel like a lot of us, because we're in the 21st century, but in ancient biology that says, become quiet, become still, conserve resources. And yet in the 21st century, we still have that energy of like, I'm a little Energizer bunny, I can keep going. So I wonder if something about that is going to be here because of this. I feel content, but then I also feel like discontent in some way. I got the chills on that. Every time I think of that winter of our discontent, I get chills. So that's the overall kind of energy at play. What I want to do now, I'm going to keep using our new cards so we can get to know them. I felt like a 4-card spread is like a story arc, and then we'll get into overall energy too. And then we'll do some clarifications. Yeah, we have a little time today. I took the morning off because I knew I'd be out late last night. I went to the open mic poetry again, and it was so fun. I didn't perform, of course. This is only my third time at this thing, and they have such a family vibe. They actually say after your third time, you can be considered family. But and there's dozens of people that go to this, and I've seen the same artists perform multiple times now, and it's intimidating to think someday I might get up there. But I'm also excited. And I did a hard thing last night. I decided to go, and I went by myself. I'm like, honey, husband, you can sit this one out, because it was erotic poetry. Every year they do one show where if you're performing, you have to perform erotic poetry, whatever that means to you. And if you have a poem you want to share that isn't erotic, he said, the host says, like, the rule is at least one line. You got to give us at least one line of erotic poetry. And so me being like, it's uncomfortable, I would never write an erotic poem. But then I started thinking maybe I would. But then I was like, well, I'm going solo, and you have to book your seats ahead of time, and there were two, and I didn't want to break up a pair of available seats. So there was one single seat available by itself at table 1, seat 1, which is like right here in front of the mic. Like, you're like this. And I was like, well, I'm already doing something that I wouldn't normally do, a little bit outside my comfort zone, way less outside than it would have been years ago. But still, I'm like, I'm going alone to this erotic poetry event with a group of people I'm just now getting familiar with, but just scratching the surface, and they all feel like family together. So I'm an outsider already. Erotic poetry, and then I'm like, table 1, seat 1. It was so great. I was so in it. It was just like awesome. So I took this morning off because that show is like 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. and this grandma's in bed by 8. So on a typical school night. And then I knew I had to do some more cleaning and organizing, because tomorrow I host my very first creative writing event here at my studio. I'm so excited. I have no idea how many people might show up. The people have told me yes. It's like, could be a dozen. I don't know. So I'm really excited. Thanks for listening to my little life story there. But that's why we have a little bit more time before my first client gets here. I just have afternoon clients today. And then I need some sleep. I need to restore this old body. Okay. So plus I need more time to shuffle these. Okay, let's get 4 cards. Have you ever done something outside of your comfort zone? I think I wanted to share that also, because the 9 of Pentacles always makes me think like that person is in their comfort zone. They're like, I'm comfortable here. And they might like want to get out of it. Like the 2 of Wands, I usually think of like wanting to get out of this comfort zone. The 2 of Swords is like a little discontent. A little uncomfortable. All right. Here we go. Ooh, an eyeball. And then we go have the 10 of Pentacles. Oh, I love a progression. We're going to see what that means. And we have the moon. Look at this artwork. It is freaking beautiful. Mystical. Like, look at this eyeball in the shell. It's like a little bit... Hieronymus Bosch, is that how you say his name? They had a tarot deck or an oracle deck in his artwork. I almost got it, and now I'm like, why didn't I get it? That eyeball kind of reminded me a little bit of that / Salvador Dali kind of vibes. And then Queen of Swords. What's she looking like? There's another eyeball up there. I love it. Why? This person must have been obsessed with eyeballs. Love it. And then one more. The Lovers. Oh, Look at that. And snakes and vines, and there, this imagery of the stars coming through. I love when they have like themes in the artwork to tie it all together. And then from the bottom of the deck for the overall energy, we have the Emperor. Talk about like containment. I wonder why that word keeps coming to me. So, oh, he's got like a ram head. I think because, is it Aries is associated with the Emperor? I don't know all of the astrological associations, but I'm learning slowly. Okay, let's take a peek at this and really feel into what this story is. So right away with that idea of content versus discontent, maybe some like restlessness energy that wants to settle, like an outward seeking and outward energy. And now with winter, we're going inward into hibernation. What does that mean with becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable in this modern day, where we're like, I don't need to hibernate. Nothing. I have a grocery store, right? I said, so something about almost fighting our biology, when really, are we being called to get back to basics with all that's going on in the world today? Overconsumption of resources, like now we're trying to go to Mars. Like when I was listening to something, it's like, when you want to leave, oh, it was a Terrence McKenna thing that popped up in my feed, some feed, I think Instagram. And it was like when a species starts, and this was a long time ago, when a species starts aiming to leave their planet, like their home, it's like there's a lot of discontent, and they're not really looking to fix the problems created. That was the subtext, I think. It was like, we're mentally checked out already. I got chills on that. So something about mental, like that, you know how that seeking, that's like, I don't want to look at what's right here. It might seem overwhelming to address. That's why I'm discontent, because there's this energy of like, it's too overwhelming. I don't know what to do about this. I just need to go, because the swords are all like mental energy. And so that'll be good. Fresh start, whatever. And the fresh start is not a bad thing. So keep that in mind for this reading. Where does that show up in your life, where you're like, I just want to like blow this up and start over? Because that might be the best course of action, but what might we miss in the process? Okay, so the Emperor, when I said we'll talk about containment, this is like the Emperor of a land, right? He's like the container for his people, right? He leads them, he governs them, whatever. He's just seen as maybe more of a rigid, somebody who has a very firm idea of what they want and what they expect, and what they assume. And so that's what I think with this overall energy is there. I mean, there are good things about the Emperor too. He's very clear on what he sees, what he wants, what his vision is. He's very strategic. He's thinking steps ahead. You have to as a leader, right? But where that whole thinking steps ahead, wanting to that project out into some future place and space and time, because right here might not, like maybe there's something that we're not ready to look at right here. I mean, look, her eyes are covered and the stars are coming through the hand. That's like, ooh, that moon is there too. Watch out, because the moon's coming up in this reading. So keep that in mind with the overall energy. There's a good and bad in everything, or positive, negative energies. And he's one of like, I am very clear what I want and what I expect and what I assume. I am strategic. I have a process and steps, and I think about the future and how to get from here to and lead people there. And then, but I'm also really rigid, and I might not give people a lot of leeway. I might not give myself a lot of leeway or grace or understanding. So keep that in mind. I keep saying that, doesn't keep that in mind. So then we have the 10 of Pentacles with this crazy eyeball. So immediately, of course, I'm going to look at okay, here we are sitting at the Nine of Pentacles. That was our first card. And then this shows up right away on this story arc of the 10. The 10 of Pentacles is one of, we're start like a culmination. The 10s are like things coming together. I'm achieving something, right? I'm going from 9 to 10, meaning I'm pretty content. And 10 is like, but this could be the fullest expression, the fullest idea of my contentment. I have all the things I need and want all around me. It's almost like this gathering energy, and it's not a bad thing. It's usually this one, a lot of people say the 10 of Pentacles is one of like abundance. What does that mean to you though? Like, what is that? Because really underneath it all, that seeking energy is like it's never ending, right? So the more we seek and the more we kind of play in that realm of like, well, like, let me open my Amazon app and what do I need and what do I want, and versus looking at what, like, feeling into the contentedness of like, I'm pretty good, I'm pretty comfortable. But maybe sometimes we're not, but that's for another story. Meaning my basic needs aren't being met, but let's assume your basic needs are met for this, okay? Right? Because I have to assume you have some spare time to be on YouTube watching a reading. Your needs are probably a little bit met. Okay, so this is like, but I want more. And what would that look like? Well, that's because this feels like very much like seeking energy. It's like it's thought energy, it's seeking, it's gathering. And I also think that plays into the gathering for hibernation mode. Like, what if, like, oh no, what would happen if I don't do this, if I don't like try to get more? And I feel like this can be such a subtle thing to feel into, right? So it's this, where in my life do I feel like I'm doing that? Well, son of a gun, it's me buying a brand new tarot deck. I freaking don't need a new tarot deck, do I? No. It shows up in a lot of ways in my life, but that's the most recent. And then we move to the moon. This is one of going into the depths. It's the card of the subconscious. What are the things really motivating me beneath the surface that I'm not even maybe cognitively aware of? But something is like, remember that whole content versus discontent. And this person is being asked to look into their intuitive side. And this is where we start to do that, is really shine a light, shine that full moon light into your depths. I love how there are different phases of the moon here too, because that's something I also think about with the moon card, is how we go through these phases. And when I talked about full circle moment here with the seasons, and those are phases. So it feels like because we're in this phase of moving into winter, there's like, and you know how like when you're crossing over, there's really no hard line in the sand of when you're exiting a phase and entering another, right? There's always overlap because things are continuous. There's no line between anything in life. There really isn't. Energetically, no. Take it down to the quantum level. There are no boundaries. So you can't just say, well, because the calendar says it's now winter. No, there's a continual, everything's just in flow, right? So with this, we might want to question, like, where am I trying to like make these firm lines in the sand between the seasons? And like, do you know how many times this season I've heard people say, man, and these are the exact words, it's like they're all reading from the same script, this time change is kicking my butt. Literally those words. I'm like, deja vu, but I know they're all different people I'm hearing say this. So it's just funny to me, because it's like we've marked this change with like the clock being changed, and that means our daylight, the amount of daylight and when we're perceiving that daylight has shifted by an hour, and people are like, son of a, it is kicking my butt. And so I think about, is it really though? Is it? Or is it just one of those things where like we perceive this change into a new like time in the year, and it's a time for us. It's like when I hear that this time change is really kicking my butt, it's like I think people, it feels like people are actually like ready for the change, and that's hard to say. It's not the exact vibe I'm thinking, but it's like they want to voice that we're moving into this new time, so that they don't, something feels like they might perceive things as maybe changing too quickly, and they're like, whoa, let's just take a moment to talk about how hard this is right now, right? So it's like they perceive this change, even though it's been changing the whole time, right? A couple minutes each day, we sense it, and then all of a sudden it's like a whole hour comes, boom, now it's dark when I go to work and it's dark when I come home, that sort of thing. And it's like, that time change is kicking my butt. So anyway, what does that mean in your life? Like, where do you sense that you just want to pump the brakes and say, whoa, my mind is still in that end of summer energy mode, and then fall, enjoying the shift in temperatures and less humidity, and like watching the leaves, the beautiful leaves, and then all of a sudden it's like the trees are bare, and we're like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes. So, but that's just an analogy for the season. But what are we really needing to look at here? We'll get some clarifications, but to me, all of these things are saying really inquire inward. I think I'll wait for the clarification on that, because this could go a million different ways about what we're inquiring about. But something's like, recognize that there is no firm line in the sand. Everything's constantly changing, and it's okay to have that feeling of wanting to pump the brakes. But why? What's the current flavor of that whoa, whoa, whoa feeling? Because something is saying, whoa, 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 look in. Like, what are we, something's coming to the surface for us to like address. And that's also why we're like, okay, hold on, I need a minute, because she's here and saying, oh yeah, I'm going inside. This is the whole thing with her thoughts, like sword energy, and two, trying to like stay balanced right through this like the changes. But something's like intuition with this card, and the moon is like, illuminate what's in the dark. Okay, enough of that. So we'll get clarification on that. And then we have the Queen of Swords. And another eyeball. I think that's a bird. No, it's like a pomegranate. Yeah, it's a pomegranate. Those have interesting connotations. I think there's connotations of like the feminine, maybe fertility, and maybe some protection energy. But really the Queen of Swords is here because I feel like there's this trying, in this reading, it feels like she's the trying to gain clarity. I bumped my head yesterday and I think I gouged it. And now with no hair, you could really see it and feel it. So she's trying to gain clarity after going through this process of like, okay, content, discontent, all that energy, the changes of this, the phases we talked about, seeking energy, like I want more, gather. And something's here like, wait a minute, pump the brakes. What am I supposed to be reflecting on, digging into as we go into the quietude? And then she's like, well, you're doing it so you can gain clarity for some reason and really understand your own, like you're being asked to discern something, and hopefully we'll find out what that is. And then we end here with the Lovers, because at the end of this, whatever we're trying to get clarity on, it's something that says, I feel out of alignment with my inner and my outer, but really it's the myself and my higher self. Okay, that's what the Lovers to me are really all about. People were just walking by talking. They can probably hear me yelling about tarot, wondering what is that about. So the Lovers at the end of this story is like, well, you're now becoming aligned, right? But how do we get from, this is so beautiful because it's like this like seeking outward, like this energy of like go go go, because I don't take time to really stop and reflect and integrate, like, or like slow that seeking energy down. And that, but something in us is saying pump the brakes. We do want that time, we do want clarity, but what are we being asked to discern? Where are we out of alignment? So that's the story. What are we being asked to do? And then I just have to go back to the Emperor as the overall energy of, like, he thinks he knows so much, right? But even the Emperor can soften. And when he finally does soften, he is the most powerful kind of leader because he's got all the traits. I just got all the chills again. So just know that's the story arc, and we're being asked to soften as we go into the quietude. That word really means something to this reading. Okay, I'm going to push pause. I need to go get my water. Okay, so I decided to use these for the clarification, the Light Seers Tarot. And I think I'm going to wrap this up. I could go a long time, and I just kind of want to try to get back to the shorter readings, even when I have lots of time. But I really like the long ones. We can get into all the nuance. Isn't that why we're here? Okay, but what I really want to do now is thinking, I don't want to clarify each and every card. I think this is such a clear story arc, meaning I know where we're starting and I know where we're ending. And the question, I go with my curiosity, and the question I have is, what are we being asked, like, along this journey of going inward, shining a light on those spots that we're not clear about? We're being asked to really discern something. And so I want to know, what are we supposed to be, like, what is this question we're dropping in to gain that clarity? I want to know more about the type, like, yeah, I just want to know more about that. And it's really about coming into alignment with kind of our higher self. And I know that's can be such a thing to say, but it's like, what is our truth, right? What is our truth as we go in, like, when I say that, to me what's coming up is like, why do I have this discontent? What am I being asked to contemplate in order to release it, or to find out why it's here? That's the discernment. So why are we a little discontent? What are we being asked to reflect on? Okay. The Empress is here. Oh my God. That's funny because we have the Emperor in the overall energy. We have the Six of Cups. I knew it. I don't want to say I knew it, but I knew it. When I was thinking about what are we being asked to really look at, and something came up about, like, something in the past. It's like, because I was thinking about this energy of seeking and content versus discontent. And this, it's like when we feel like, yeah, I'm pretty good, but why do I have this restless energy? It's going back to something in childhood, or something at least a long time ago. And then we have the Two of Cups. Okay, the reason I got so excited is because not only did we get the Lovers, we got the Two of Cups. Look at this imagery. Look at it. I don't even know. That's why I love and trust when we get the Emperor and the Empress. That is no coincidence. And then we get the Two of Cups and the Lovers. So something here feels like there's discontent in relations with people. Okay, what is that? Doesn't have to be a love relationship, like a romantic partnership. That's not it at all. It could be. That's for you to decide. But in general, we'll just keep it broad. Where in your life, and where in my life, do I feel like I have a discontent in relation with other people? Where do I feel like I literally, where do I feel this tug of war within me, between the divine masculine, go out, hunter gatherer, support your tribe, the divine masculine was outward energy. We talked about the outward and inward, and divine feminine, it's all inward and quiet, and yin, yang. Some people say yang, whatever, but in Mandarin it's pronounced yang. So this is truly about balance. This is a card of balance. Two of Swords. This feels like, sorry, let me just get back to it. Right here in the heart of the clarifications is the Six of Cups. This is an emotional healing. Something is asking us finally to be, I've used this word a lot lately, but be tender with ourselves. Look, this is the card of tenderness. This is a card of reflecting back on when we were just a young, tender person. And maybe we didn't get something we needed. And ever since then, we have this restless seeking energy. Like, even though we look around and we're like, but I'm fine, really. My needs are met. And then something in here, our little child self, never got a need met. So we're still being asked to do that. So that's the flavor of this inquiry, the moon, and discernment, Queen of Swords, and then trying to come into alignment now, like my inner and outer can be aligned, the Lovers. There seems to be also like relational in the past. It could be familial. So where in your family do you feel like I didn't get a need met? And now I feel this tug of war between the masculine and the feminine within me. The outward energy of do, go, produce, be a productive member of your tribe, of your community. And the inner is like, but I also need time for self-care. I need quietude. So there's the yang energy of outward, like very energetic, very kind of energetically, that feels like the sun, and things are like things are growing, and it's like outward, up and out energy. And the yin feels like down and in. And so maybe that's why the season analogy came to me, because it's like summer into autumn into winter. It's like we're moving from the emperor into the empress energy. And that's exactly what our biology was designed to do, along with the flow of the seasons. That's why we are the way we are. So it's okay to feel like we want to pump the brakes on how quickly we're moving into the inner, because our culture says, but you gotta keep going and doing and be energetic and be an extrovert and be productive and all those things. And so I'm talking at different levels. I'm talking, so just so you can connect with where it is that you feel it in your life. Like, is it cultural? Is it just, so you decide. But this plays out at all levels, doesn't it? So in our life, where this is being asked, where we're being asked to inquire, is going back to our child self, somewhere in maybe adolescence, wherever it is for you, to say, what need didn't I get met? That now, fast forward or tie it into today, there's some symmetry between the need I didn't get met then and the flavor of restlessness and seeking that I feel now. Is it financial? Do I feel like I grew up where my financial needs weren't being met. Like my family was poor, whatever. It's such a weird word because it's so relative. Poor, but you know what I mean. So it's like, was it financial? Was it love? I didn't get my emotional needs met. Now I will say the Six of Cups are the emotional energy, right? So it will show up as emotion now because it's like behaviors and like feelings, and maybe we can't put our finger on it. But what emotional need wasn't getting met? Did I not feel seen? Did I not feel understood? And now it's like, the energy flavor of restlessness that I have now is like constantly expecting the relation, like my people in my life, like the relationship energy, friends, family, romantic partners, whatever, that says, I shouldn't have to voice what I need because I honestly haven't looked yet. The moon is here saying, no, you need to look, and you need to, the Queen of Swords says, you need to discern. You really need to put words to this need, because we're looking out in relationship now saying, I expect you to know what I need, but I haven't even clarified or discerned what I need. And so that's where the turbulence in relationships can happen. It's like, can't you read my mind and tell me what I need because I'm still not clear? We do that, don't we? Oh, humans. So this is that, man, I love all the different themes here that all are talking about the same thing, like yin and yang, whatever, inner outer energy, like vibrancy and extroversion, and then introversion and quietness, and this idea of like, what am I discerning to come into alignment? Well, it's unmet needs, and it's an unmet, probably emotional need, because most things are, right? Because everything stirs up emotions in us. That's how we know there's something here to address. Like when you're out there, like there's like discontentedness stirs up. That's an emotion, right? It's like, So I think we're going to have to leave it at that, because from this point out, it's you doing the inquiry. What need didn't you get met that you could actually meet today? And that's by, see how he's like reflecting back on, he's pretty like with tenderness, maybe some bittersweetness, but really tenderness and grace to say, and maybe talk to your child. So I'm going to pull an oracle card, the Inner Child Oracle. It's so perfect. Hold on. Okay, we are back. So, Inner Child Oracle. It screamed at me like, hello, we're dealing with inner child stuff. We need some guidance. Do we though? You're your own guide. You know what to do. You know where to look. You may even know what your unmet need is. And you may know exactly how to address it. But if not, let's get some ideas from this oracle. Okay. What is it? What flavor? Okay. We have, listen, your inner child has something to say. Yes, it does. I wonder if this is going to talk about the quietude. Number 25, listen. Okay. Our inner child is comprised of the many different aspects of childhood we experienced growing up. There is a 1-year-old inner child, a 10-year-old inner child, an 18-year-old inner child, and an inner child for every age in between. At various times in our lives, different aspects of our inner child will need to be heard. This card indicates that an aspect of your inner child, one you may have not met with yet, has a message for you. Here's an awareness exercise that says, take time to connect with this new piece of you through inner visualization, responsive journaling, play, or intuitive art. Try to be open to what your inner child has to say. Many times in life, we repress aspects of our inner selves in a bid for safety. When events occur in our childhood that we cannot manage or understand, they can become suppressed aspects of ourselves. Because of this, our inner child might bring unprocessed events and memories for us to work through as an adult. If this occurs, be gentle with yourself and have patience. These memories and events will most likely be sensitive in nature because of how long our inner child has carried the pain of that moment. Give yourself plenty of time to sit with whatever comes up, setting aside the practice of processing these old memories if it becomes too overwhelming, or seeking professional help as needed. And then it gives us a responsive journaling prompt. Is there an aspect of your inner child that you do not wish to meet? Is there a way to create space for that aspect to come forward today? Ooh. Yes and yes for me. Oh my God, I probably have a lot of aspects that I don't want to meet. I've done so much of this work already, and I feel like there's so much more to do. I feel like it's never ending. And so that, it came to me while reading that too, this idea that we just work with what's showing up right now. We don't have to sit down and say, well, here's like all 150 things that my inner child needed and didn't get. What this is like, listen to what is showing up right now. What's the one that comes first or comes loudest when we listen? Because it's all about listening. So it's not about trying to figure out. It's not about trying to list them all. It's just getting quiet and listening for the one that comes, or the one that comes the loudest, right? In the quietude. Man, what's mine? Hold on. I always like lately to give like a real example. So hold on. I'm going to think about this for a moment. Okay. This can get intense. I was like, I could start crying, and it's so perfect. Okay. So vulnerability time. I think mine is the one that came fast and loud for me. It was gentle, but loud, as in like, yeah, that's it. Is I don't think I felt seen as a child. It's funny, and I may have mentioned this before, but we didn't, in the 70s, I'm talking this, I'm grateful and a little bit bummed that there were no digital cameras. There was no like capturing every moment. I got sad the other day because I'll never be able to hear what my child, like my voice was before the internet, before I was able to capture in video. Like so all I have are faint memories and then a few old photos, like from the 70s. We didn't take a ton of photos, at least our family. So, and in the photos I do have, there's not a lot of photos of feeling like, from the viewpoint of the person taking the photo, of being doted on, being cherished, being seen. And it wasn't until my younger brother came around a couple of years later that we started to have photos. And I get it, there's time, there's 1977 versus 79, who knows what was happening. And then also maybe being like new family, we definitely didn't have any money, so there's a lot of reasons why there wouldn't have been photos. But the ones that I do see are the ones where it's like my brother is the one being doted on, or it's like my birthday party and everyone, I'm like, still, this is the heartbreaking photo, you guys. I've thought about this, so don't worry, we can all kind of smile about it and be like, oh, but like I'm standing with my presents, and it was like at a McDonald's when they used to have birthday parties there. I don't know if they still do. And like I'm at my pile of presents. I had to have told you about this before. And like I'm like this, like and then everybody else is turned the other way, like my mom and maybe my brother was there, and like even the a couple other people at the thing were turned the other way, like something must have caught their attention. And the only person who's like they're looking at what I'm looking at is a McDonald's employee. And so my family, I never felt seen by them. I've done a lot of work on this, but it still brings up that emotion, right? And it's like, we even came from a time back then where literally there was a saying, there was a phrase, children should be seen and not heard. And what's funny is like, well, I wasn't even seen, let alone heard. And so here I am over the years. I'm even doing these on video. I'm doing videos on A Course in Miracles. I've done stuff where like I wanted to, like I was always there through my adulthood. There has been this pattern of like wanting to express, but then being like, no, instant shame, self-criticism, whatever. Like there's been that tug of war within me about seen, unseen, seen, unseen, seen, wildflower, expressive, introversion. Like that's been my inner, like, my whole life. I can see that now in hindsight, and maybe where it comes from, I can just make meaning, but it seems real to me. My truth is that was an unmet need. It was. It didn't feel like, when I think about my nieces and nephews now and how like the parents like really dote on them and like see them and have photos of them and like, and now I know there are extremes. Back then, Gen X has this whole like, no one cares about us. So it's part of my generation too that has that in it, and the latchkey kids and all of that. So there are a lot of reasons why I think this was an unmet need. And yet it plays out as like this tug of war within me. So that's what's coming up for me. So that's just an example. I like doing these examples because it is like, it helps me ground this into like reality. Because when I would watch people's tarot, it was all too fluffy and esoteric and like new agey. And I want real practicality. I'm in a real body. I'm moving through real daily life. And so that's just me as a reader. So I'm going to probably keep doing more of that. But yeah, what is it for you? What was your unmet need? I have so many more, but that was, again, when I stopped to listen, that's the one that came. And then you can start to be like, oh yeah, now I see the patterns, how it's played out in my life, like constantly. And you know what? My Myers-Briggs, I'm even making a connection to that now. It's so fun to connect dots, isn't it? As we get to know ourselves more deeply. My Myers-Briggs, you know how it changed? That's a personality kind of assessment. And there's a million questions in it, maybe not a million, but it rates you on a spectrum between two extremes. And so on the introvert extrovert extreme, that spectrum, I always hover each time I take it. Sometimes I'm an extrovert, sometimes an introvert, but only like one dot on either side. And it seems like most people are like pretty far one way or another. And each time I take it, I'm just like, and to me, that's such a clear sign of the tug of war within me that's like outer, inner, outer, inner. That's this whole reading too. So it's almost like, where do you feel if there's an unmet need that's played out as this tug of war between outer energy, inner, yin and yang, masculine, feminine? What is it for you? Because that's all here, not just in my example, but all of that showed up in the reading today. Please tell me. You guys never tell me. I just wish we could have a conversation, but anyway, thanks for being here. I really enjoyed this one, maybe because it was new artwork, but it really just feels like anytime you can go back and talk to your inner child for healing and self-growth and self-understanding and alignment. Oh, yes. That's my jam. I hope it's yours too.